Haha. I was joking. Be prepared to do that. Haha. That's right. I don't think it's a joke. He grimaced inwardly. This raid must be successful. The day of the raid was bright. Before starting the raid, he checked his headset, keyboard and mouse connections in the spirit of a knight going to war. To him, the keyboard was a sword and the mouse was like a shield. Before entering the dungeon, he gave a detailed briefing as an engineering captain. Everyone paid attention and engraved his words. Do you one way? From now on, you must follow my instructions carefully. Gene Dragon, of course, I'm Boss Joe, just give me orders. Together they entered the dungeon. As they went inside while getting rid of miscellaneous mobs and avoiding traps, a giant spider monster welcomed them. This is Caractula, which moves quickly and has strong defense for its size. In addition, there is a characteristic that properties change frequently. Therefore, it was important to catch the attribute change quickly and change the attack method from time to time. Key. The boss mob raid finally started with shouts. The strategy was already perfectly entered in Kim Hyun-ho's head. Come. Tankers in front. When the 5 tanks in the front line used their taunt skills, Caractula's aggro focused on it. Keek. 8 legs began to beat the tank's shields. At that moment, Hyun-ho Kim shouted again. Aggressed. Dealers ready. The wizard and the archer, who were waiting in the back according to the command of the engineering team, were each loaded with magic and weapons. The standard of attacking Caractula begins by incapacitating that leg. Focus fire from the first leg on the right. Poagwang. Ki. One of Caractula's legs was turned into rags in the order given at the right time. Good. There's plenty of dill. The tankers catch the aggro that is trying to focus on the dealer again and attack the legs at the right time. It was worthwhile to gather in the PC room and simulate several times, and the hands and feet hit each other. But what really matters is right now. When the 4th leg broke, Caractula's gigantic body collapsed in half. Kararara. A different scream rang out than before. It was a signal to enter the second phase. A black mist erupted from Caractula's mouth. Poison cloud. It's called a solo board. When a Caractula loses more than half of its legs, it spit out a venom that cannot be evaded in rage. Inflicts damage for 3 seconds and the damage was terribly powerful. Even a normal tank can't stand 3 seconds. Add a heal and a wide area buff. The moment the poison plate was laid, the healers all used recovery magic, and the paladin cast a wide area buff. Even at the start of the raid, I was worried about what would happen if the president didn't follow well, but now I see its Kiwoo. Heal and buff were applied at the correct timing, but a third of HP was cut. Here the HP continued to drop due to the effect of poison. Instead, Caractula also fell into a groggy state in return for pouring out all the venom. Monsters in groggy state have their defense reduced by 50%. Until that state is over, it's time to put the most deal. Right now. Power attack. Quagwang. Quagwagwang. Swordsmanship and magic exploded, and light burst out on the monitor without stopping. Kim Hyun-ho commanded the engineering school and used magic that was right for the right place. Additional damage exploded for each exploding magic. Lightning surge enters. Cheeky. Thunderbolts fell from all sides. I can't use magic for the next 3 minutes. After 3 minutes, Caractula had completely collapsed. But it doesn't end here. Kararara. As if in metamorphosis, Caractula's huge body split apart, and a small spider came out of it. We've entered phase 3. We're almost there, so please do your best. Caractula, whose size has been reduced to about 1/10 of her size, roamed the walls of the dungeon with her swift movements, attacking with her venom and sharp stingers. In addition to this, she used the blink skill and moved around her position in an instant. From now on, aggro management and control to precisely match the attack were important. This was Kim Hyun-ho's specialty. Don't show me your control skills to catch a lurker with a marine. He didn't even blink, and in a trance he tapped the keyboard and clicked the mouse. It was a state of complete immersion, godly control. The magic that flew accurately hit Caractula's small body. He even threw a spell at the expected point in advance and tied his feet. Thanks to his performance, everyone was able to attack and defend without panicking. If I had studied with this concentration, would I have gone to Harvard or Oxford instead of Korea University? The raid lasted over an hour. When both HP and MP were almost exhausted, Karacshala's HP finally hit the floor and her body collapsed. At that moment Hyun-ho Kim raised his hands and shouted. Good. The other members of the engineering team also let out a shout of joy. In the case of boss mob raids, the rewards are automatically distributed according to the level of fighters. But the most important thing is the special items that only boss mobs have. Do you want to bid on Polara's sword? Or press reject, as if everyone was waiting. Kim Hyun-ho also moved the mouse and tried to click reject. But at that moment an intense smashing broke out on his back. Damn. Ouch. When he turned his head his mother was standing there. Why are you hitting me? You seem to be studying for a while after getting a job, but you're only playing games at home. Then what if you get fired from the company? Kim Hyun-ho shouted as if it was unfair. Games are also an extension of work, mother. What kind of business is this? Because it's real. Mom doesn't even know. You don't know what mom doesn't know? Why don't you turn off the game and study? Anyway, it's all over now. Kim Hyun-ho grumbled and turned his head back to the monitor. At that moment his eyes opened spontaneously. Come on, wait. Why did this happen? He shouted like a scream. You pressed the wrong button because of mom. When the chief engineer bid for the Polaris sword, everyone was surprised. Just because he's a wizard doesn't mean he can't wield a sword. However, since the power stat is low, no matter how good a sword you wield, you can only use magic once. Asked the paladin. Are you going to change to a magic swordsman? The white wizard shook his head in surprise. Oh no. I pressed the wrong button. The warrior asked in a whisper. MCO Joe, whisper. Someone who never made a mistake in the control just clicked the wrong button. You one way, whisper. Sorry. He didn't dare say it was because her mother suddenly came in and slapped her on the back. Anyway, there are two people who want the Polaris sword. If there are several people who want it, a dice is rolled and the character with the higher number is assigned. There came a point where I had to make a decision by luck. The paladin rolled the dice first. The two dice spin quickly in the air. Everyone looked at the dice with their eyes wide. Asterisk please. High numbers. High number. Dice. Soon the dice stopped. The numbers are 5 and 6. The sum is 11. Seeing this, the engineering team members breathed a sigh of relief all at once. Some quickly crossed Abu. 11. I've never seen such a high number. It was a cool dice roll. Wow. A famous sword hides its owner and good items go to their owner. The paladin shook his head. It hasn't been decided yet. This time it was the turn of the white wizard. The warrior whispered to the white wizard again. I'm Boss Joe, whisper. Surely 12 won't come out, right? Do you one way, whisper. Absolutely not. I'm not proud of it, but I don't have a history of drawing properly in a lottery game. When I draw 10 times, I can't even draw a card that comes out once, so I spent more than 500,000 won. It really wasn't bragging. Hearing this, the warrior was relieved and the white wizard carefully rolled the dice. 2 dice roll quickly in the air. Unlike before, everyone looked not nervous. The probability of getting a 12 is 1 in 36, less than 3%. Should the 12 come out? Thinking so, the dice stopped. Ugh. The numbers are 6 and 6. The sum is 12. Even after washing my eyes several times I was 12. Is this real? Everyone denied acknowledging reality for a while, but a notification rang as if it was a confirmation kill. Jiu One-Wei has acquired the Polaris sword. Everyone was at a loss for words. But what surprised me the most was the white mage. Oh, why is this an ordeal for me? He cried inwardly. Father. If you're looking at me, tell me the answer. The paladin congratulated him, who was bewildered. Congratulations on your win, he shouted in surprise. Oh no. The white mage took out the Polaris sword from the inventory to advance the sword at any moment. The staff disappeared and a white sword was held in his hand. However, contrary to the desire to hand it over to the opponent, the sword did not fall out of his hand. This is because it was impossible to pass it on to other people as it was a bound item. Are you proud of it? No, it's not. In the eyes of the opponent, it would only be seen by drawing out a sword and sticking it out. Realizing that, the white wizard shouted again. Hey, I'll buy you a similar one. It was just something I didn't say. I don't see anyone as a beggar. Is it because the chairman of Susong Group doesn't have money? I'm fine. The Polaris sword doesn't seem to have anything to do with me, so I'll have to find another sword. The paladin looked around the engineering members and said, "Everyone worked hard today. Then I will." The paladin logged out first. But the other characters were still there. It's a raid prepared for 2 weeks. But the raid failed. No, it was successful, but the result was intercepted by the white mage. The warrior with the battle axe patted the white mage's shoulder and said, "When you go to work tomorrow, please come to the boss's office." Yes. Next day. Hyun-ho. Hurry up and go to work. No. I'm not going. You want to be late? Wake up. Kim Hyun-ho burst into tears. Hyuk. I'm not going. I'm not going. Her mother panicked when her son suddenly cried. Why is he like this? Is the company bullying you because you went to college? It's all because of mom. The SS Engineering College Karakshila raid video was released through the game video service Togo Box operated by OTK Games. Gamers who watched the video were astonished. Haha, crazy. Who is it? Who got the president in the back of the head? You are a new employee at Seosung Electronics. Hey. Show the enthusiasm of the new employee. Is it possible that you joined Seosung Electronics to gain momentum? Wow. Tired. Im Jin-young must be tired too. For me as the chairman, you are the first employee like this. Haha. He's going to be very big later on. Will it be cut off before it grows bigger? Swap jobs with Polaris sword. I did the rest of the business. Rumors that a new employee hit the president in the head at Karakshila raid spread not only to Seosung Electronics, but also to all affiliates of the Seosung Group. Fortunately, Kim Hyun-ho went to work safely without being cut off, and after that he led SS Engineering and cleared numerous dungeons. Later, the console development department was split into a game division under the IM division, and he played a key role and rose to the position of vice president of the game division. Exodus 3. Best Friend 1. Lost Fantasy Saga, Serene's Tower, content leads the Korean wave. Strategy. The popularity of Lost Fantasy Saga Serene's Tower, serialized in Neo-teen webtoon, is frightening. With the popularity of Lost Fantasy, it has been exported to more than 20 countries around the world, and is also gaining popularity in the United States and Japan. In an interview, writer Hye-young said, "I would like to thank gamers who love Lost Fantasy and everyone who enjoys watching webtoons. And I would like to take this opportunity to apologize for the frequent delays and absences. I will work even harder." Lee Baek-hoon, CEO of Neo-teen Webtoon, said that webtoons and web novels are key industries that will lead the Korean wave in the future, and that they will actively nurture new writers and support overseas expansion projects. Webtoon writer Kwon Soo-ryan with her 4th year of debut. "When I first debuted as a webtoon artist in Neo-teen, I felt like I had the whole world." She once became famous on social media, saying she was one of the top 5 most beautiful writers of Neo-teen webtoons. However, her debut was a beginning, not an end. She struggled to complete her first work and is currently working on her second work, but the response has not been good. Kwon Soo-ryan met webtoon writers at her cafe. They were the writers I met during the Doujinshi sales event this time. The topic of discussion among writers was the article that came out yesterday. Have you seen the interview with writer Hye-young? I heard it appeared in the newspaper. They said it was a hit in the US and Japan as well. How much does a Hye-young writer make? Isn't it going to make 100 million a month? What is 100 million? It's said that sales this year will exceed 10 billion. Wow. That's enough walking small business. It's really great. How would it feel if I made that much money? I'm going to buy a building in Gangnam soon. All the writers did not hide their envy. Hearing this, Kwon Soo-ryan thought. Again, we're talking about Min Ha-young. Now I'm tired of it. She went to the same high school as Min Ha-young. She used to be in the same class, so she was kind of close. As much as she both dreamed of becoming a cartoonist, she met frequently after graduating from high school to draw and exchange comics. Kwon Soo-ryan, who was not in contact with each other now, but only listened quietly, spoke as if tossing. You're lucky. If you draw a Lost Fantasy IP, who won't get that many views? The writers nodded their heads. Well, that's right. But how did writer Hye-young get the Lost Fantasy IP? There is only one writer who got it in Korea, writer Hye-young. That's right. How did a writer who didn't even debut to get an IP from a Japanese game company? Lost Fantasy M and online are record-breaking hits, and there are not one or two places that want Lost Fantasy IP. However, it was not easy to get the IP of a popular game. Kwon Soo Ryan bit her lips slightly. How the hell did you get that? Does anyone know of any OTK games? Why don't I get that chance? I'm much better at drawing pictures. Have you heard of that? Writer Hairung is close with a Norwegian princess. I heard that too. A Norwegian princess sometimes comments on webtoons. Wow. You're friends with the princess. The princess is a Lost Fantasy fan. The writer Hairung is a celebrity now. He's the same webtoon writer, but he's like someone from a different world. A writer asked Kwon Soo Ryan. I heard from writer Hoon that writer Seo Ryan is friends with writer Hairung. At that she nodded her head. Yes. We were in the same class in high school. Wow. So, are you still in touch these days? Yeah, well, sometimes. She actually didn't contact her. The reason for the separation was simple. Kwon Soo Ryan's work, which was serialized in Challenge Best at the time, was promoted to official serialization. While she became a paid writer, Min Ha-young was still an aspiring student. After that, Min Ha-young showed her own manuscript to her Kwon Soo Ryan and sought her advice. But she refused to meet her because she felt it was bothering her. It happened after that, she said. She cut off all contact with her after that, and one day Min Ha-young officially debuted in her neo-teen webtoon. She is also familiar with the drawing style, and since she was in high school she had been using the pen name Hai Ryong, so she could easily recognize her. She said that until then she had a little congratulations and she thought about trying to get back in touch. However, Min Ha-young's webtoon quickly hit her and climbed up. She is the same neo-teen webtoon serial writer, and her income varies greatly depending on her popularity. Unpopular writers end up receiving a salary equivalent to a salary, but popular writers cost hundreds of millions of won. Lost Fantasy Saga Saran's Tower is the undisputed #1 among all webtoon sites, not just neo-teen webtoons. On the other hand, Kwon Soo Ryan's webtoon Marriage to an Enemy Emperor was almost at the bottom. It endured bloody deadlines every week and there were hardly any comments when it was serialized. Even in the editorial department she seemed to want her to finish soon. After finishing this work, will she be able to sign another contract? She has reached a point where it is difficult for a friend who once thought she was far below her to look up to. This made it even more difficult to communicate. Seeing all the other writers talking only about Min Ha-young, I felt a bit nauseous. You said you're going to have a writer's night in neo-teen webtoon soon? Will you come out this time? Writer Hairung Nim is cute. I want to see her face. Kwon Soo Ryan said as if muttering. Well, if it were me, I wouldn't be able to come out even if I was embarrassed to go through multiple stages. Other writers were astonished by that statement. Multi-level. I think I heard that rumor too, was it true? What rumors? I heard that writer Hairung recommended several writers to do multiple levels. Kwon Soo Ryan was a little perplexed at those words. Because it was she who spread the rumor to the writers around her. Oh. Everyone knew. It seems like they contacted me but also everywhere. Does Seo Ryan know more? Just tell us. She pretended to be troubled for a moment, and then opened her mouth as if she had no choice. Are you aware of the Jile gold coin incident? Jinhoo Kang's relatives were scammers. I saw it on the news. Jile gold coin multi-level fraud case. As the scale of damage was so great and the incident involving relatives after the earthquake, the media also reported extensively, and even those who had little interest in current affairs knew about it. Kwon Soo Ryan said with a smile inside. The writer Hairung worked in that multi-level process. One day I got a call. A cafe on the luxury street in Cheongdam-dong. It is located on the top floor of a luxury store building, and it is always full of reservations as it is directly operated by a luxury brand. A young man in his 20s in a gray sweatshirt and slippers was sitting at a table while the gorgeously dressed men and women enjoyed the afternoon tea set. In terms of clothes and appearance, there is no other neighborhood white man. He was talking to someone. Just buy it. If it's 9,000 it's cheap. Since we lowered the price once, it won't be hard to lower it any further. It's necessary, so buy it before it's on sale. The man sitting at the next table thought. Do you sell toilet paper for 9,000 won at a nearby mart? So you're saying you have to buy it before it's sold out. He never thought he was going to buy an animation company for $90 million. He called another place. Send 3,000 there. You can't send 2,000, you have to send 3,000. The woman sitting at the next table thought. She said, I only have 7,001 in my bank book, so I can't get it out of the ATM, so you want me to send you 3,001, so are you planning on withdrawing it with 10,001? She never thought that 30 million foot was $30 million. After finishing the call, the young man took the magazine on the table in his hand. The name of the magazine is Time. It is none other than a historic American weekly magazine. The people around who saw it thought about it. Did I buy the wrong Maxim? Why are you turning the pages so quickly? Are you just pretending to read? Still, I didn't lift it upside down. At that moment, a French female manager in a suit approached the young man. The dress code doesn't match, so it looks like they're trying to get you out. It makes no sense to come here in that dress. Now I can get up and go buy tissue paper discounted at 9,001. However, contrary to everyone's expectations, the manager politely bowed her back and spoke in English. Thank you for your visit. May I help you with anything? To his surprise, the young man answered in English. No thank you. I am good. Please let me know if I need anything. I will. Thank you. Okay. Those who saw it all stopped moving all at once. What the hell is he? Who is the manager of a high-end luxury store to say hello? Am I the only one who doesn't know who I am? The young man looked at the magazine, not paying attention to the gazes around him. In this issue we do not miss the story of Jinho. See that article? Here you are. As I was reading the article, a short time later, a small-sized woman with her hair tied and her glasses on came rushing in. I'm sorry for being late, take you. Are you done safely? Yeah. I barely got it right. You keep good deadlines these days. Of course. Now I'm a sincere writer. Take-you nodded her head with a satisfied expression. It's a very good attitude. I don't have a lot of money these days to develop frameworks. So you have to work hard without taking a break or year-round. Lost Fantasy IP usage rights are not free. OTK Games took 10% of Webtoon revenue as IP royalties. Of course, compared to the total revenue earned by OTK Games, it was so small that it didn't even matter. Min Hyung stuck out her tongue. Chit. I'm still working hard. How's the new house? I think it's good. Not long ago she left her closet and found a new studio in Samseong-dong. It was a luxury apartment overlooking Tanshan. But why in Samseong-dong? Because I, too, wanted to live in Gangnam for a long time. Actually, there was another reason, but I didn't bother talking about it. Min Hyung was surprised to see the magazine in Taekyu's hand. Wow. Are you even reading this? I didn't normally read it, but I bought it because of this. Taekyu unfolded the page and showed it. There was an article about Lost Fantasy Saga Saran's Tower, along with the content of Korean Webtoon's entry into the US. Hey. To make a lot of money and even be listed in Time. That's great. Min Hyung cutely inflated her cheeks. Are you kidding me? No matter how much money she earns, is she comparable to the second richest man in the world? The two had an afternoon tea set. Min Hyung ate black tea and scones and made a happy expression. The end of the deadline is really the happiest day in the world. But next week another deadline awaits. I know. Min Hyung said she remembered something. This time there is a writers' meeting in Neo-teen Webtoon. A lot of celebrities are coming, so would you like to go together? Hey, it's a writers' group. But can I go too? Yeah. You can go to the dramatist together. Are you a rookie? It's not a lie because you tell the story and review the manuscript. That's right. Then I'll have to ask the representative to pretend that I don't know even if he sees me. Huh. Does the CEO know your face? Before you met Lee Baek-hoon, CEO of Neo-teen Webtoon and Park Se-na team leader. Although he is the vice president of OTK Company and the second richest man in the world, few people know the name and face of OTK. In modern society, once a face is known, it spreads quickly through media and SNS. When a face is known, there are not one or two things that bother me. If Jinho Kong was sitting here right now, wouldn't everyone have looked at him? The main character should hide his face. On the day of the Neo-teen Webtoon writers' meeting, Min Hyung, who met Taekyu, was surprised. What? Why did you come out dressed up like this today? Unlike the usual gray sweatshirt and three-striped slippers, Today I wore a dandy outfit and shoes. He changed his glasses and combed his hair neatly. People look different. Are you trying to look good to me? Min Ha-young thought so and her face reddened slightly, but Taekyu shook her head and said, I got caught by Jin-hoo when I was leaving the house in sweatpants. When I asked where he was going, he said he was going to a writer's meeting with you, so I had no choice but to change because he said that if I don't change right away, I'll rip all of my sweatshirts. Ellie picked out clothes and touched my hair. Namsan Grand Paras Hotel. The Neo-Teen Webtoon Writers' Night meeting was held at the Emerald Hall here. Min Ha-young, who entered her with Taekyu, put a name tag around her neck and sat down at her seat. She said, a lot of celebrities are here today. As the sales of the webtoon business are increasing day by day, Neo-Teen did not spare any money. She hired a famous MC as the host and prepared a lot of celebrity performances. Meals will be served at the hotel buffet after the event is over. Hundreds of artists had already gathered in the huge hall. Min Ha-young opened her rabbit-like eyes wide and looked around because it was awkward at the place she had been to for the first time. She was not very impressed with Taekyu, who had participated in many larger events than this. They were sitting quietly in a corner seat together, when a man approached and spoke carefully. Are you a Hyeryong writer by any chance? Min Ha-young was startled and opened her eyes like that. Yes. How do you know me? Look at the name tag. Oh, I see. Nice to meet you. I'm a Pamble writer. Yes, hello. I'm a fan of that writer. Can you sign one autograph? At that, Min Ha-young was embarrassed and waved her hand. Yes. Sign. Oh no. What sign am I? In her place, her Taekyu stepped forward. Paper, please. Taekyu quickly took the paper and handed it to Min Ha-young. Sign it now. Min Ha-young was forced to sign her autograph. Meanwhile, other writers flocked in. She greeted everyone and asked for her autograph. Is this the dignity of the #1 Neo-Teen Webtoon writer? Taekyu raised his thumb. Oh. Popular writer. At those words, Min Ha-young blushed. Don't do that. It's still embarrassing. Kwon Soo-ryan was sitting at a table with her close writers. The girls met through an internet community and drew webtoons together even before their debut, and at one time Min Ha-young also belonged to this group. The writer of Hyeryong is here. Very shameless. Yeah. To come to a place like this after trying to attract fellow writers on multiple levels. You say that the Norwegian princess is bragging about being a fan? It's ridiculous. Is the princess a fan of Lost Fantasy, or a fan of the writer of Hyeryong? I'm really lucky. I got the Lost Fantasy IP and turned my life around. Did a man ask you well? It is easy to think that one's own success is a natural result of hard work and skill, but the success of others is obtained by luck. There was a long line in front of Min Ha-young to get her autograph. Seeing this, Soo-ryan Kwon stood up. It's been a long time since we met, but I have to say hello. Taekyu looked at the man in front of him and said, it's a Taipong writer. I saw it on TV. Good morning. Webtoon has emerged as a popular content, and the popularity of webtoon writers has also increased. Some appeared on TV and enjoyed celebrity-like popularity. Taekyu looked around and saw a woman sitting at another table. She has a white, small face and distinct features. She looked like she was going to be told that she was pretty. He was somehow familiar. Isn't that him? Isn't that Kwon Soo-ryan? Ugh. That's right. She wasn't friendly, but she was in the same class and knew her face. Is he also a webtoon writer? Yeah. It's being serialized on Neo-Teen right now. I don't think I've ever seen the name Kwon Soo-ryan. Because I use the pen name Seo-ryan. Okay. Taekyu searched for her work on his smartphone. She said, she drew comics every day even then and she made her debut. It's nice to meet her high school classmate at such an event. Taeyong raised his hand. Howdy. At that moment Min Ha-young stopped. Don't. Are you doing this because I'm afraid I'll say, Hisashiburi? I quit Hisashiburi a long time ago. I was just trying to say, it's been a while. I know that, but don't pretend you know. Why? That just... Is there something between you two? Thinking so, the three writers who were sitting at the same table with Kwon Soo-ryan got up and walked over to this place. Kwon Soo-ryan greeted me warmly. Oh. Haeyoung. Oh. I'll meet you here. For some reason Min Ha-young bowed her head. Ugh. Oh, hello. We've been away for a long time. Kwon Soo Ryan, who greeted her warmly, saw a man sitting next to Min Ha-young next to her. Are you sure Oh Taekyu? Yeah. It's been a while. In her memory, Oh Taekyu wears her glasses and is chubby. Was the physique. But compared to that time he lost a lot of weight and his face improved a lot. Kwon Soo Ryan was always interested in fashion, so he immediately noticed that Taekyu's outfits were not luxury items, from glasses to shoes. Besides, the watch he is wearing is Patek Philippe. Is it fake? Kwon Soo Ryan thought so, and she told Min Ha-young. I'm glad you look healthy. Don't you do that these days? Huh. That's it. She looked at Min Ha-young, who was bewildered, and Kwon Soo Ryan smiled inside. I'm talking about illegal multi-level. Are you still doing it these days? The writers around him were astonished at the words. Writer Tai Fong asked. What do you mean? Writer Hyeryung did illegal multi-steps before drawing webtoons. Was it the Gile gold coin? Why is there a coin that a relative cheated on him after Kong Jin? After a long time I contacted him and met him, and he said that if he bought that coin he could make a lot of money. Min Ha-young, who fell into her multi-step process, was the first to contact her friend Kwon Soo Ryan. As soon as she met and heard her talk, she spurred her seat and got up. She did not stop there and spread rumors that she was multi-level, so she lost contact with all the writers she knew before. Now that I think about it, it was rather fortunate. If she really had brought her fellow writers into the multi-level, she wouldn't have been able to carry her face. Anyway, we haven't talked to each other since then. This was true even after she made her debut. However, as long as we work in the same industry, we will have no choice but to face each other in the future. Min Ha-young said nothing and bowed her head. It is true that at one time she was involved in multiple levels and she tried to attract those around her. She even thought she had to apologize if she ever met her. But like this, she's going to reveal it publicly at a gathering of other writers. For some reason it felt like everyone was laughing at him. Min Ha-young was embarrassed and couldn't say anything, but Kwon Soo Ryan continued her speech. Do you know how worried you were knowing that you were arrested too when you saw the news about the multi-level daily strike? Did you tell other writers to buy it? Seeing Kwon Soo Ryan's expression and tone, Taekyu noticed the situation and kicked his tongue inside. Excessive success leads to envy and jealousy. Anyway, what should I do in this case? Taekyu spoke on behalf of Min Ha-young. It was for an investigation. What? Investigation? Yeah. You want to draw a multi-level webtoon, aren't you, Ha-young? Huh. Min Ha-young looked at her Taekyu with her rabbit-like eyes wide open. What if you're even more surprised? Kwon Soo Ryan was perplexed. Okay, don't be fooled. Does it make sense that you signed up for a multi-level report for coverage? Huh. That's right. Data research is crap. It was really multi-level. However, Taekyu continued to lie without changing his expression. Because it's real. If you're a writer you don't know, you need to be able to do multi-level camouflage infiltration in order to draw a good webtoon. Hearing these words, the writers murmured all at once. Wow. Were you directly into the multi-level process for the coverage? That's right. That's right. Somehow when I heard the rumors I thought it was strange. Hyeryung, you're really amazing. Kwon Soo Ryan looked like she couldn't believe it. He never knew it. If I went in for a report, would it make sense to buy a coin? That's right. Taekyu changed the subject before the lie was discovered. All the writers here should thank Haeyoung. What do you mean? Are you saying thank you for not dragging me into the multi-level? No. Because Haeyoung hit the hell rabbit. All the writers were astonished by that statement. What nonsense is that? It's true. The Hell Rabbit site was closed thanks to Haeyoung's report. Don't be silly. This is true. Thanks to Min Ha-young crying and reporting, Oh Taekyu came forward. Otherwise, Hell Rabbit would have been operating even now. However, it is not easy to prove that statement. I don't know if Oh Taekyu reveals himself. But even if you reveal your identity, you won't believe it. Fortunately, at that moment I saw a familiar face. Taeyoung quickly waved his hand. Hey there. Representative. Seo Lee Baekhoon was surprised to see Taekyu. You really are here. Nice to meet you. Please tell the writers. The writer here knows that it was closed because the writer Hyeryung reported and requested that the Hell Rabbit be closed. Team leader Lee Baekhoon looked at Taekyu and Ha-young Min alternately with surprised eyes. How are you two? I'm a high school classmate. Team leader Lee Baekhoon noticed the situation. Was the vice president of OTK company a friend of writer Hyeryong? That's why writer Hyeryong received a Lost Fantasy IP from OTK Games and was able to draw a webtoon, so that's why the vice president was so active in Hell Rabbit. Now everything made sense. Team leader Lee Baek-hoon spoke out loud so that the surrounding writers could hear it. The unit. No, this person is right. Thanks to the tip and request of the writer Hyeryong, I was able to sweep the Hell Rabbit management team at a glance. I would like to take this opportunity to express my sincere thanks to the writer Hyeryong. Read more at wuxiax.com. Hell Rabbit is the largest illegal webtoon site in Korea. I don't even need to explain how much damage the webtoon writers have suffered because of that site. Unfortunately, the site was shut down. Many writers drew and posted a congratulatory message. By the way, how did the writer Hyeryong play a decisive role in shutting down Hell Rabbit, the enemy of webtoon writers, and sweeping the management team? Thank you, writer Hyeryong. You've been through a lot. Did you tell me earlier? Thank you very much. Writer. Clap clap. The writers got up all at once and clapped, and Min Ha-young bowed her head in shame. But the person who surprised me the most was Kwon Soo-ryan. Until recently, the multi-level fact was disclosed to put the opponent in a corner, but in an instant the atmosphere was reversed. Really? Did Min Ha-young really shut down Hell Rabbit? All of a sudden, the writers who were with her moved a step away and avoided her gaze. When she tried to disgrace Min Ha-young, but rather got into a corner, Kwon Soo-ryan's pupils shook greatly. In such a situation, if you continue to talk about multi-level stories, the seeds will not work. Taekyu said a word to her, who was bewildered. You really don't need to thank me. Hell Rabbit didn't have your webtoon. The Hell Rabbit operator illegally uploaded popular webtoons serialized in Lujin Comics and 3mix, as well as Neoteen webtoons, and provided them for free. In other words, unpopular webtoons did not spread. It also included a webtoon serialized by Kwon Soo-ryan. Still, whenever I saw a comment that said, "No jam webtoon that Hell Rabbit also skipped," a tantrum broke out and Taekyu touched that point properly. Taekyu said to her, who was shaking her whole body with her anger. It is very morally wrong to frame a friend for jealousy and jealousy because he is doing well. Kwon Soo-ryan couldn't stand it and screamed. Hey, Taekyu oh. Perhaps it was difficult to bear the gaze of those around him. Kwon Soo-ryan disappeared as if running away before the event even started. Min Ha-young and Taekyu enjoyed the event until the end. On the way back in the car, Min Ha-young said, "Thank you for today. I'm alive thanks to you. I always get help." Taeyong said with a smirk. "I have to help each other and live." Min Ha-young also smiled. "Thank you though. By the way, what about Kwon Soo-ryan? We'll see each other again later. I'm going to meet and talk soon. I apologize for what I did wrong, but I've known him for a long time." "That's a good idea." Min Ha-young thought as she looked at Taekyu. "We're friends now?" "Well, I have a lot of time in the future." Exodus 4. Syrian Wheat 1. New World Church. Pastor Jong-hoon Bang, a famous far-right political activist, is the senior pastor of the church. Currently, he is not affiliated with any Protestant organization and is walking an independent path. Although Reverend Jong-hoon Bang was expelled and dismissed from office, he still held the title of pastor and toured the country to lead anti-government prayer meetings and patriotic rallies. I received a direct revelation from God that Jin-Hoo Kong was destroyed. OTK company will go bankrupt and a new world will open, and made many members of conservative groups happy who were hoping for Kong Jin-Hoo's downfall. However, as everything ended in Kong Jin-Hoo's victory, the conservative organization was disbanded, and he was accused of violating the Donation Act. But he didn't stop. Pastor Jong-hoon Bang had great intentions and there were several plans for this. Pastor Jong-hoon Bang, who stood in the church, spoke to the 17 young men and women in front of him. "Our brothers and sisters here are heading to Syria, where the Holy Land is tomorrow. We will take the lead in establishing the kingdom of God by missioning to the pagans there. This is not an accident, it is God's plan, and the end of the earth for preaching the gospel is Islam. If you shoot, you must have the courage to die. If God does not allow you, you may not die, but at the last moment you must give up your life. If you commit suicide, you cannot go to heaven, so you must die by someone to go to heaven. Wheat grain in Syria, let's all pray for these brothers and sisters." Next day, the 17 members of the New World Church mission team set off for Syria with a dream of going to the center of early Christianity to do missionary work. And exactly a week later the problem broke out. President Ha Chong-min was down in Simanjiam to attend the groundbreaking ceremony for Disneyland. In addition to Jin Ho-kong, Chairman Im Jin-yong, President Lim Soo-mi, and Disney CEO also attended this event. Numerous domestic and foreign reporters came to film the groundbreaking ceremony and interviewed those involved. After the groundbreaking ceremony, meetings were held with domestic and foreign businessmen. However, in the middle of the meeting, the attendant came running and said in a low voice, "I think you should answer the phone, President." There was a sense of urgency in his voice. If it wasn't for an urgent call, I wouldn't have bothered to report it during the meeting. President Ha Chong-min got up for a moment and went outside to answer the phone. "This is Jong Song-cheol, Chief of the Security Office. This is an emergency. President." "What happened?" President Ha Chong-min's expression hardened upon hearing the story. "I'm going back to the Blue House right now. Immediately convene NSC officials and report as soon as information comes in. I'll connect you by video call as soon as you get in the car." "Okay." The presidential car headed straight for the Blue House. In a dark building, 21 men and women were sitting on their knees. His face was covered in tears and runny nose, and he was shaking and shaking. Behind her stood 5 men with black masks covering her face and holding AK-47 rifles in his hands. The man with the sword spoke in hard English towards the camera. "You have insulted our God and forced us to apostate. Now you will pay the price. If you do not comply with our requirements, we will execute you one by one." Participants gathered at the National Security Council, NSC, watched the video together. But even after the video ended, no one spoke. That's because the situation was serious. After a while, the silence was broken and Chief Security Officer Jong Song-cheol spoke in an official voice. 21 of our citizens were kidnapped by terrorists while traveling on a bus near Idlib, Syria. All of them belong to the New World Church, and 17 of them left through Incheon International Airport a week ago, and 4 were members of Antakya and joined in Ankara. Confirmed to have been done. Defense Minister Lee Suk-woo asked, "Why do you say you went there?" Kwon, the first deputy chief of the security office, answered, "It is said that the purpose of local missions and volunteer work was." He had a look on his face that everyone was stunned by that. Someone clicked his tongue and said, "I told you not to go like that, but you're going again." Deputy Director Kwon explained the screen on the screen. The abducted organization is Al-Syria, a faction of the Al-Nusra Front. It is an armed group of radical Islamists, its leader known as Mohammed Sheikh al-Khalid. "So what are your requirements?" "We are talking about the termination of the ROK-US military alliance and the withdrawal of South Korean troops stationed in Lebanon, but they are just excuses." "Of course. The hostages are asking for $20 million in ransom." President Ha Chong-min turned his head and asked, "What do you think of the chief of security?" Jong Song-cheol, head of the National Security Office, replied, "Even if we support private-level negotiations, we should avoid negotiating with the government as much as possible. If it is known that the state will accept hostages and threaten them, there is a risk of more hostage plays. For this reason, it is the principle of all countries not to negotiate with terrorists. But this time not just 1 or 2 but a whopping 21 people were caught. It is only a matter of time before the director's office becomes known to the media. If the people die, they will be reviled for not negotiating properly, and if they negotiate to rescue them, they will be reviled for breaking the rules and wasting blood money. I can't let people die like this. You can't even pay a ransom to a terrorist. It is a difficult situation for the government." President Ha Chong-min said with a firm expression, "The lives of our people are our top priority. First, we will send a government task force to Syria, so please make as much time as possible by proposing to negotiate face-to-face. Until then, we must find another way." Breaking news: New World Church mission, abducted in Syria. Terrorist group Al-Syria takes 21 Korean missionaries hostage. New World Church asks the people of the country to pray for the safe return of the missions. Responsible Pastor Bang Jong-hoon, the government's responsibility to hold hostages. Only when President Ha Chong-min takes responsibility and negotiates. How to rescue hostages. When reports of a large-scale kidnapping in Syria were reported, public opinion turned upside down. No, why the hell did you go there? Isn't Syria in a civil war right now? The government forces, rebels, Kurdish militia and IS remnants are all gathering to eat land? Did you go to a place like that to do missionary work? Aren't you crazy? I really wanted to die. You went to a place you shouldn't go and got caught, aren't you responsible for it? There is nothing in the world more precious than life. Even if you are scolded and punished, you must bring them back to Korea. Yes. No matter how great the sacrifice, we must save the lives of our people. The government has an obligation to protect the lives and safety of the people. Life comes first. I have to live. So you risked your precious life and went to a place where you shouldn't go, so you have to take responsibility. If life is so important, shouldn't we save all the people with coins and jump off the Han River? Yeah. The stock loss is what the state is doing. It's me. By the way, I'm looking for those people, aren't I using my taxes? Taekyu, who was watching the news, said as if he was startled. Did they go again? This time in Syria. There must be a no-travel zone. Don't go to places you shouldn't go, don't do things you shouldn't do. However, there are people in the world who have to do it no matter what they tell them not to. Ellie asked as if she didn't understand. Why are you going to a missionary in an alternative dangerous area? Is it effective even if I go? I do not know. I am not sure whether missionary work can be done in the field for a long time. But how effective would it be to go missionary with your daughter for a month or two? However, it will be a great help to promote the church's achievements. If the missionary mission arrives safely, you can claim, I did mission in the middle of a dangerous area but nothing happened. This is the grace of God. That's enough. Either way, it's a leftover business, right? Ellie had an astonished expression on her face. You mean risking your life for just such a thing to go to the civil war zone? So she doesn't go on her own and sends a missionary. There is nothing easier than sitting in a safe place for yourself and forcing others to take risks. Are you aware of the Pawn Church incident? What is that? Taekyu nodded his head as if he knew. It was a national disgrace and a waste of taxes. I explained. Around 2007, the missionary sent to Afghanistan by the Pawn Church was kidnapped by Tel Aviv. Remember. You didn't rescue me safely. Yes. Although there was a lot of controversy at the time, the government entered into negotiations. Fortunately, the negotiations went well and the hostages were brought back safely, but the country's image was greatly damaged by accommodating the various demands of the Taliban, leaving a bad precedent. In the end, it was as if they were telling them that if they caught a Korean and threatened the state, they could extort money. The ransom paid at the time was not disclosed, but it will be at least tens of billions of won. Despite that, he went on a mission again. In the news, a list of the abductees flowed. But to my surprise, I saw a familiar face among them. That person. The most important thing to maintain an organization is not a cause or a belief. That's money. ISIS initially seized gold from the central bank during its occupation of Mosul, Iraq, and later took control of the Kirkuk oil field, which allowed it to use the funds to expand its presence in the Middle East. However, they lost their base and the financial line was cut off, and now the organization has been scattered. With the collapse of ISIS, the al-Nusra Front, which had taken control of Syria, also had problems, and the organization was reduced in size to less than half due to a cut in funds. Several terrorist organizations are currently experiencing severe financial difficulties, and the same is true of al-Syria. The organization that had over 5,000 members in its heyday is now only 1,500 left. They often looted the surrounding areas to get money and supplies, but that was not enough to maintain the organization. The most lucrative business is hostage play. To catch travelers or pilgrims from developed countries and collect their ransom. Hopefully, it was even possible to make millions of dollars at a time. It doesn't require a lot of capital, so if you don't agree to the negotiation, it's enough to kill you. However, as this happened over and over again, it became known that sane people did not come to Syria, and it became known that they were making money and all kinds of organizations rushed in. Therefore, kidnapping has not been easy these days. However, luckily this time the jackpot of kidnapping 21 people at once exploded. Moreover, unlike other countries that do not negotiate with terrorist groups, South Korea has a history of paying large sums of money to rescue abducted missions. Despite threats to give money immediately, the Korean government demanded face-to-face negotiations. Is this a strategy to attract the attention of the international community and domestic public opinion? Of course, Al-Syria's Emir Mohammed Sheikh Al-Khalid had no intention of being dragged there. There are many hostages anyway, so it is enough to execute a few as an example. Hussein, who had visited the hostages, reported to Muhammad. One of the hostages told me an interesting story. What do you mean? He says he's a friend after the earthquake. He says he's been together in the military, to be exact. There is no one in the world who does not know the name of Jin Hukong. The same is true for terrorist groups. Muhammad stroked his beard. Has Jin Hukong ever served as a soldier? In Korea, men are obligated to serve in the military. It seems that they were together in the military at that time. Here is a picture of him. In the photo, Kong Jin-hoo, who had his hair cut short, and the man who took him hostage were photographed. Muhammad saw the picture and smiled, revealing his yellow teeth. I think we should include Kong Jin-hoo in the negotiation. Raise the amount to $50 million and tell them that they will behead each hostage until you give them money. The Korean government will pay the money if they want to save the hostages after Kong Jin-hoo. A chubby young man was sitting in a dimly lit room. He said in a terrified voice, "My name is Yunolo. I came to Syria for a mission as a missionary of the New World Church." Pastor Jong-hoon Bang said that this is the most marginalized area from the gospel. I served in the military with Jin Hukong, the CEO of OTK company in the past. Oh Yunil wept and talked about his training with Kong Jin-hoo and his life in the quarters. He cried and said, "Seo Kong Jin-hoo, Do Jin-hoo, please save us. I'll ask you this. You're a comrade with me and my best friend. You're the only one who can save us all. We want to go to Korea. Please help us get back alive." Ugh. Syrian abductee Oh Yunil, confirmed by Kong Jin-hoo's military appointment. Kong Jin-hoo is known to have served in the military for over a year. Al-Syria demands $50 million in ransom for hostages. After Gang Jin, the richest person in the world, are you going to save her friend? When Al-Syria released the video on the internet, media outlets poured out articles all at once and comments were rushing under it. What? Why is Senior Jin Hukong over there? Are you really Kong Jin-hoo's best friend? Of course. It's a match. So how close were you two? This bastard is at least unwritten. Dogs and cows are all close to Kong Jin-hoo. Whoa. The relationship you met in the military always ends in the military. How do you pretend to be friendly? Jureji. If you have a haircut, think about it. It is a fact that everyone across the country knows that the New World Church is anti-government, anti-progressive, anti-Gang Jin-hoo and anti-OTK, but if it was Kong Jin-hoo's friend, would you have gone there? During the last global economic crisis after the earthquake, I prayed all night to make it go bankrupt. Good morning. I am the successor of Kong Jin-hoo, who served in the military for 5 months. Yunilo is appointed 2 months after Jin Hukong. As military writers know, in the military there is something called the law of preservation of advisors. Every unit must have an advisor, which makes the people around him suffer. Oh Yunil was the representative advisor of our company. It's surprising that Jin Hukong didn't fall behind. I also went to a brig chong for 4 nights and 5 days because of bullying my successors, but now I come to reveal it, but I stabbed it with a wish fixer. Jin Hoo-hyung. Did I do well? What is the torturer's immutable law? I act as an advisor even after leaving society. This company commander was disappointed with Oh Yunil. So, will Jin Hukong pay the ransom? Isn't $50 million worth of gum for Kong Jin-hoo? Absolutely not. This is not a matter of whether Kong Jin-hoo has more or less money. If you start giving money once, you will kidnap Koreans and travelers all over the world and ask Jin Hukong to give you money. It is international common sense not to negotiate with terrorists. And apart from that, I'm not looking for a military appointment. Recognize all the military writers? I admit, the lives of the hostages are at stake. You should be very careful in reporting on these matters. However, Korean media continued to report provocative. Pawn Church in Afghanistan, how they dealt with the abduction incident, who entered into negotiations, how much they spent, etc., and even the survivors of the Pawn Church who were taken hostage at the time, and the families of the deceased went out to interview. The conservative media used this as an opportunity to attack the government. Is the diplomatic failure of the Ha Chong-min government repeated again? We must not repeat the failure of the Pawn Church crisis. Vivid interview of a survivor who was kidnapped by the Taliban. There are many voices saying that the president and Kong Jin-hoo should be held responsible if the hostages die. Reporters flocked to the New World Church. Why did you send a missionary to Syria? Didn't you know it would be dangerous? Are there any measures on the part of the church? Didn't you know it was illegal? Pastor Jong-hoon Bang said, waving his hand. This is the government's fault for not blocking the country from leaving the country. If it is a dangerous area due to war or civil war, shouldn't it have blocked entry by restricting the use of passports before asking, "Why did you go there?" It happened because we didn't even promote it, so the government should be held accountable. Then you're saying you didn't know that it was a travel ban country? How do you know that? Then a reporter held out his smartphone. This is a photo posted by one of the missionaries on social media. If you look at it, the missionaries all took a picture together in front of a notice on a travel-banned country at Incheon International Airport. Doesn't that mean that they went to Syria knowing that it was a travel-banned country? It was truly undeniable evidence. Pastor Jong Hoon Bang said in a bewildered way. "Ah no, so this is all because of Kang Jin-hoo." "Yes." "Why?" he shouted even louder to the reporter who asked in confusion. Since Kang Jin-hoo made a lot of money, rumors spread even in the Middle East that Koreans had a lot of money. So, aren't our church members kidnapped like this? Kang Jin-hoo is entirely responsible for this. Preaching the gospel to pagans. We will hold an all-night prayer meeting in front of the OTK company headquarters from today for our brothers and sisters who are in danger. What kind of salvation can there be without prayer? I will pray until Jin-hoo Kang pays the ransom. People from the Saeseng Church gathered in front of the OTK company headquarters. There was even a banner that read, "Prayer for the Rescue of the Syrian Abductees Mission Team." Pastor Jong Hoon Bang shouted while holding a microphone. "I am preventing the church members from being killed by the power of the Holy Spirit right now. If I die, I am martyred, but if I say don't kill, I can't even kill terrorists. If I kill them, I will erase them from the book of life. If you don't want to be erased from the book of life, unconditionally you have to listen to me. I live by the arm of Muhammad. Muhammad, stop moving. If you don't touch Muhammad, I'll kill you." In the midst of this, donations were raised in the name of saving the missionaries. Hallelujah. This is an offering to save our brothers and sisters. Please donate generously. The families of the abductees cried and appealed. "Egu, Kyo Kang Jin-hoo. Please save our daughter. Seo Kang Jin, who has a lot of money. Aren't people's lives more important than money? Hyuk, my one and only son, please come back safely. Please save our leap day, Seo." Pastor Jong Hoon Bang shouted loudly. "We can save our brothers and sisters if we pay money. $50 million is just one meal for Kang Jin-hoo. Yet he continues to ignore it. I will write a blood letter to Kang Jin-hoo." In front of a media camera, Pastor Jong Hoon Bang put his finger in his mouth and bit it. Ugh. He frowned as if in pain. Then the butler, who was waiting next to him, quickly wrapped a bandage and held out a paper cup filled with liquid. Pastor Jong Hoon Bang put his finger inside it and then began to write letters on the fabric. He said a passerby who was watching him. "The color is a bit strange. What kind of blood is that?" Confused, Pastor Jong Hoon Bang said to the deacon. "It's not enough. A little bit more." Taekyu looked down at him and rubbed his eyes. "I have to go to Syria and do a performance like that in front of Muhammad Sheikh al-Khalid. Why are you here?" "I do not know." "Why are you waving the taiguki and the stars and stripes?" "I do not know." "But why is the blood color like that?" "Anyone who sees it would pretend to bite and think that it was written with povidone iodine." "Yeah." I sighed as I watched the families of the abductees weep and pray. If your family is being held captive by a terrorist group, how would you feel? No matter who pays, I just hope they come back safely. Still, I don't like the attitude as if I had to pay for it. Several media outlets, including the Choyung Ilbo, were already writing articles with such a tone. If you really want to pay the ransom and want the hostages to be revived, isn't it right that you are a church and a family, and you have to collect money by losing all your possessions and then ask them to pay the shortfall? Because everyone's money is precious. What if I paid the money to rescue the hostages? Then will you praise me for doing a good job? You're welcome. At that time he would probably claim that it was because of his hard work. If I die, it's my fault. If I come back safely, it's my fault. Jong Ki-hong, the head of the PR team, came in and said, "The people of the Saeseng Church are trying to push in at the entrance saying they will meet the CEO. Reporters from inside and outside the country are also flocking to the front. This kidnapping case has already become a global issue. As many as 21 people have been taken hostage, and a terrorist group is threatening to give me money. It's a situation where we have to make a statement somehow." I nodded. "Ask reporters and Pastor Bang Jong-hoon to come in." We'll talk in the lobby. I went down to the lobby. Reporters had already taken their seats and Pastor Jong-hoon Bang had come in. A gentle expression on his white hair. Just by looking at his appearance he seems like a good-hearted pastor. I've seen it a few times on video, but this is the first time I've seen it in person. Perhaps the scene is now being broadcast live all over the world. I held out my hand once. Welcome, Pastor. Nice to meet you. He grabbed my hand. It looked like a bandage was wrapped around the index finger. I said, holding the hand. I saw you write blood before. The wound may heal, so it would be better to treat it right away. Fortunately, there is a doctor in our company. First, remove the bandages and disinfect. Come on, wait. Pastor Jong-hoon Bang tried to pull his hand away, but I had to remove the bandage around his finger before that. The appearance of the exposed index finger was surprising. There is no wound. There is no blood. Reporters took pictures of the scene. Pastor Jong-hoon Bang said in a bewildered way. No, I usually recover faster. Aren't you just pretending to be awake? Pastor Jong-hoon Bang shouted as if he had nothing to say. It doesn't matter now. Our brothers and sisters who went to preach the gospel of God in an Islamic region are in danger of losing their lives. Among them, Kang Jin-hoo's friend is included. They were arrested by Kang Jin-hoo. The responsibility is very great. I didn't send you to go to Syria to do missionary work, so what do you want me to do? Read more at wuxiax.com. He raised his voice at my words. Is money important or people's lives? More than lives. There is only hell for those who choose money. So, I wonder why they are asking me to pay that money. I've heard good things. Are you saying that people's lives are more important than money? Of course. There is nothing in this world more important than the life God has given you. I see. I nodded my head and said to Pastor Jong-hoon Bang. Then the pastor will pay only 2 billion won. He was startled by my words. 2 billion? What does that mean? I said it like it was natural. Isn't life more precious than money, as the pastor said? If the pastor gives only 2 billion won to save the lives of the members, I will pay the remaining 50 billion won. Pastor Jong-hoon Bang shouted. Where's my $2 billion? I saw that you were living in Yunsong apartment in Apgujeong. Wouldn't you get 2 billion won just by selling the house? You can sell it and pay it. What? If you sell your house, you and your family will have to sit on the street. Isn't the life of 21 church members more important than the house? Do you mean that you don't care whether the church members die or not for the sake of yourself and your family's comfortable life? Why are you asking me to pay that money? Then why do you call me me? Oh, that's it. Apartments worth over 2 billion won't sell so easily. How hard is real estate these days? I nodded my head in agreement. I'll buy it. I knew that, so I prepared a real estate sales contract. Just sign it and I'll deposit 2 billion won right away. What? I don't have time. If the pastor doesn't pay 2 billion won, will you take responsibility for the entire mission? Pastor Jong-hoon Bang shouted even louder. No, why am I responsible for that? Then why are you asking me to take responsibility? What? I said with a sad expression on my face. Pastor Jong-hoon Bang here said that he couldn't pay the 2 billion won because his apartment in Apgujeong was more important than the lives of the church members, so I couldn't pay the ransom to Al Syria. It's really unfortunate. I'm in a safe place and I'm in a civil war. Anyone can easily push people to do missionary work in their country. Likewise, anyone can force others to pay money even though they have no intention of paying a penny. Please write it clearly in the article. If the hostages die, I will take the money. It's not because of the brochure, but because Pastor Jong-hoon Bang didn't pay. Pastor Jong-hoon Bang did not hesitate to threaten to erase me from the book of life along with the evil, saying that I would be thrown into hellfire. But I will pay. He didn't end up talking. So he made a lot of noise in front of the press, and when the reporters tried to ask a question, he left the place as if to run away. That appearance was broadcast on the air. I'm going crazy. What's a bastard? I thought it was a gag when I saw the yellow blood. Are you saying that the missionaries will embrace the Apgujeong apartment whether they die or not? Gives Jin Ho Kong to pay money without paying a penny. If anyone sees it, it's entrusted. Good luck. If I had paid, the company commander would have been disappointed with Kong Jin-ho. If the hostages die as they said after Kong Jin, it is the fault of Pastor Bang Jong-hoon. Because you were expelled, technically speaking you are not a pastor, are you? I feel sorry for the church members who believed in such a person and went on a mission. But aren't my taxes really going to be used to pay the ransom? In countries where the economic system has collapsed, it is not uncommon to kidnap foreigners and demand ransom. For criminal organizations, this is a business and a major source of income. Still, it is extremely rare for as many as 21 people to be abducted. It drew international attention as it was intertwined with religious issues, including the Syrian civil war and a friend after the earthquake. Media outlets around the world poured out articles paying attention to the problems of Al-Syria, the New World Church and the Korean missions. When the South Korean government sent a negotiating team to Syria, many countries expressed concern. While the negotiating team was careful, Kang Jin-ho made it clear that he would not pay the money. 5 days later, Al-Syria took action. The hostages were sitting on their knees in the dark room. Compared to when the first video was released, the faces and bodies of the hostages were a lot more emaciated, and they looked terrified that they could not even wash them properly. A skinny middle-aged man read the writing on the paper. "I am Pastor Hanil Bey of Saesang Church. I came to Syria to preach the gospel of God. President Ha Chong-min. Kyo Kang Jin-ho. I want to live. I want to live and see my family again. Please help me return to Korea alive." But as soon as he finished speaking, the masked man pulled the scimitar from his waist. The man who saw the knife burst out crying in surprise. "Oh no. Help me." The men and women behind them also burst into tears. "I will do whatever I ask. Please save me." A cry broke out along with a shriek. Fortunately, he didn't wield a knife. Instead, he put it on Pastor Hanil Bey's neck and spoke in English. "I tell Jin-ho Kang, if you do not pay the ransom within 3 days, I will behead the hostages one by one." Breaking news. Al-Syria ultimatum. The period is only 3 days. Diplomatic disaster of the Hyo Chong-min government. Possibility that Kang Jin-ho's remarks stimulated Mohammed Sheikh al-Khalid. Who is responsible for the death of the hostage? After the earthquake and negotiation before there is more damage. The opposition party criticized the Blue House with a sharp tone, and the media blamed Kang Jin-ho and the government for this. Protests in front of the OTK company headquarters under the guise of a prayer meeting also intensified. This incident was also strongly criticized within the Protestant Church. Also, hatred and hostility toward Islam increased. In the midst of this, former President Park Si-hyung, who is in prison, said, "I want to be a hostage on behalf of the people. Send me to Syria," he said, showing his presence in an instant. Public opinion was divided into those that, "We should bring our people alive," and those that, "Never negotiate. No matter how much you hate it, you are our people. The government must step in and save it. Death must be prevented. What they did wrong is right. Doesn't that mean he was not guilty of death? I am also in favor of punishment. It is correct to bring them back to Korea after living and punish them. Negotiation is surrender to terrorists. Never do it. If Jin-ho Kang pays the money, isn't it all going to be resolved? If you give Al-Syria money, they will rearm you with that money? Are you saying that we should support terrorist groups with national taxes? Even in the Pawn Church incident, I had to pay money to bring it back, so this happened. If you had taken a hard line against the terrorist group at that time, would the same thing have happened? Syria. Even so, there are not 1 or 2 missionaries working in Africa or remote mountainous areas. If they pay the ransom this time, they too will be at the same risk. Did you go on a missionary mission or did you go to martyrdom? But Your Excellency is suddenly gone? Do you want to travel to Syria? Tired. I'm tired of your sacrifice. There's nothing more can be done than this. Let's send Your Excellency to Syria. If you're Al-Syria, would you accept Your Majesty? Al-Syria publicly pressured me to pay the ransom. Of course, I have no reason to give, nor should I give. I'm just trying to ignore it, but another problem arises. 8 months ago, in the high seas off Somalia, pirates hijacked a fishing boat and 2 Koreans kidnapped it. While the negotiations were not going well and the hostages are still being held in Somalia, the pirates suddenly issued a statement asking me to give them money. He even charged me for the ransom of 5 Indonesian sailors who were taken prisoner with me. The cost is $1 million per person for a total of $7 million. Still, if you have a conscience, I called it cheaper than Al-Syria. You looked at the email sent to the company and said, I'm here again. Boko Haram in Nigeria and Abu Sayyaf in Mindanao will also release the hostages for money. I said absurdly, who is this dog? Then criminal gangs around the world started sending me bills. Taekyou looked at me and asked, "Are you going to stay like this?" Then, I need to tell the Al-Syrian kids what the hell it is. For reference, this is Taekyou's life aphorism. How? You have to think about it. Anyway, I can't sit still as long as I get the bill. I contacted someone I know. If you're not busy, can I see you for a moment? I greeted guests in the conference room. Currently, the government is focusing on resolving the kidnapping of missionaries, leaving behind all national issues. As the diplomatic power of the Korean government is almost on the test bed, the Minister of Foreign Affairs will also be very busy. Nevertheless, as soon as Minister of Foreign Affairs Kim Song-cheol answered my call, he ran to the OTK company headquarters to avoid people's eyes. He said with a very tired look. Perhaps to pressure the government, CO Kong-jin, who continues to fall from the other side. To start the negotiation, first CO Kong-jin, who asks you to pay $10 million. If you do not fulfill the conditions, they will behead one person in the next 3 days. We are doing our best right now, but Syria and other neighboring countries are mostly concerned about the negotiations. If the South Korean government pays large sums to rescue the hostages, Al-Syria will use the money to buy weapons and increase its membership. It is, in effect, a support for terrorism. This will lead to more terrorism and kidnappings, and it could endanger not only Koreans but also other foreigners. To the extent that it is difficult to push through negotiations in a situation where neighboring countries oppose it, the Korean government has been unable to do this, or that even after dispatching a negotiating team. Besides, the situation in Syria is so bad that we can't really negotiate. Foreign Minister Kim Song-cheol explained the situation in Syria. Syria, as we all know, is in the midst of a civil war. Political and religious reasons were very intricately intertwined in this civil war. The current president of Syria is Bashar al-Assad. However, the Assad regime is a dictatorship and a brutal regime that is hard to believe that it exists in the 21st century. As a result, the rebels waged an armed struggle with the goal of overthrowing the Assad regime. From this point of view, they seem like righteous martyrs protesting the dictatorship. These rebels are as deadly as the Assad regime, and they are Islamic fundamentalists who oppose secularism. As you can see from the New World Church mission, Syria is the center of early Christianity, and the capital, Damascus, is a representative holy land. Also, 10% of the population is Christian. The Assad regime advocates secularism and protects them. What if the rebels win? Then there will be a genocide of Christians and minorities, and Syria will be ruled by Islamic fundamentalists. It was difficult for European countries to take sides as there were no dreams or hopes for whoever would win. In addition, the Syrian civil war has involved remnants of IS and Kurds. The al-Nusra Front and al-Syria have engaged in looting and terrorism when bored, and the Kurds are fighting to establish a state for independence. It is complicated enough up to this point, and depending on the situation, there is a possibility that Israel and Turkey will intervene. This is why the civil war is unlikely to end easily. It was something I was aware of, but hearing this is really serious. Foreign Minister Kim Song-cheol sighed openly. I am a Protestant Christian and go to church, but I do not agree with that kind of missionary work. It will be the same for all church members. I nodded. I would. Evangelism is basically a good thing. Missions sent by religious groups collaborate with local governments and civic groups in underdeveloped countries in Africa to do volunteer work, such as education and medical care, and spread the faith. This is of great help to the local people, and it has a great effect on creating a positive image of Korea. The problem is when you go to a place where you are not supposed to go and do missionary work. The missionary also knew that Syria was a no-travel zone. Since there are no planes to get there, I first went to Istanbul, then from there to Ankara, then crossed the border to Syria. The purpose of departure was a trip. If it was stated from the beginning that the destination was Syria and that it was for missionary purposes, it would have been impossible to leave the country in the first place. You voluntarily go to places you can't go even if others ask you to pay money. No, did this happen with your back from the New World Church? Anyway, once they are caught, they are arguing about why they didn't rescue them. Read more at wuxiax.com. Taejayu said softly. I went on a mission with my life, so wouldn't it be for them to just be martyred there? Minister Kim Song-cheol sighed. In my heart, I want to tell you to do the same. But from the government's point of view, it can't be, can it? Seeing what he said secretly, it seems that we have become quite comfortable. What do you think of the president? He said that we must save our people no matter what happens. Naturally, the government should put the lives of the people first. But paying the ransom is the worst option. Another way is to launch a military operation to rescue the hostages. Many countries do that too. Another way is to launch a military operation to rescue the hostages. Many countries do that too. Take you asked. How about sending in special forces to rescue the hostages? I've tried that too, but there are some problems. At that moment something came to mind. When the Pawn Church mission group was kidnapped, they considered a rescue operation and actually sent a special forces mission to Afghanistan. Are there any special forces in Syria? At my question, Minister of Foreign Affairs Kim Song-cheol put on a troubled expression. Because that's not something I can talk about. This must be a secret that cannot be shared with civilians. They are threatening to kill people if I don't pay. I want this time, so other guys are doing the same. I have no intention of standing still like this. If you're here because you need my help anyway, shouldn't I need to know the situation too? After thinking for a moment, he opened his mouth as if he had made up his mind. The special forces have moved to the operation, but they have not received permission from the Syrian government. We are currently on standby in Lebanon with peacekeepers. No matter how many dozens of its citizens are held hostage, Syria is a completely different country. In order to deploy military units and conduct military operations, it is necessary to obtain permission from the local government. However, despite the South Korean government's request, the Syrian government delayed its response. There are two reasons for this. First, Syria has no diplomatic ties with Korea. It is not easy to bring into the territory an army of a country that is not an ally, let alone an ally. Second, there is a risk of retaliation such as terrorism or kidnapping if the South Korean special forces enter and touch all Syria. If we launch a rescue operation, what is the probability of success? As a divided country and a ceasefire country, the Korean special forces have a fighting power that is not inferior to any other country. In a hostage rescue operation, information is paramount. However, our military has no experience in conducting operations in the Middle East. Even if we were to defeat al-Syria, wouldn't it be useless if all the hostages died in the meantime? In the worst case, hostages may die and soldiers may die. That's why, even during the Pawn Church incident, I gave up on the rescue operation and paid the ransom to bring it back. I see. But if you think about it, didn't the same thing happen when you reacted like that? Taekyu said with his arms crossed. It's easy to find in movies and games, but in reality it's not easy. Conducting a military operation in an unfamiliar land without information is a way to drive the troops into limbo. Is there any other way? I think so, but Young Ki-hong, the head of the PR team, knocked in and came in. I think you should answer the phone for a moment. Who is calling? This is a call from Crown Prince Suleiman bin Salman. We were surprised by that. Crown Prince Suleiman bin Salman is the son and heir of the King of Saudi Arabia. He had met me when he came to Korea the other day, and since then he has been in contact with me occasionally and built a friendship. I asked Minister of Foreign Affairs Kim Song-cheol, "Can I come and answer the phone for a moment?" He nodded vigorously. "No, of course. Don't worry about me, just take it easy and come." I went up to the CEO's office with Taekyu and answered the phone. "Hello." Crown Prince Suleiman spoke fluent English. "Long time no see, CEO Kong Jinhu. How are you?" "Hello, Crown Prince. Thanks to you, I'm doing well. I saw an article that al-Syria kidnapped Koreans. It's very unfortunate. They are enemies of Islam and all Muslims are outraged by this. I hope that this incident will not cause any misunderstandings about Islam." I nodded. Of course. ISIS, al-Nusra Front and al-Syria are all Sunni militants. From the beginning he had a bad relationship with the Shiites, and Abu Bakr al-Baghdadi called himself a Khalifa and became an enemy of the Sunnis as well. Saudi Arabia, a hegemonic power in the Middle East, has no choice but to be a thorn in the eye. And, of course, most of the people they killed were Muslims, not Christians. Normal Muslims wouldn't like these crazy people. I want to tell you not to misunderstand me, because not all Protestants go on a mission to the Islamic region. At my words he smirked a little. If there is anything I can do to help solve this problem, I will do anything. Thank you for your words. I would like to give you financial help, but you seem to say that you do not need it, so I would like to provide other help instead. Neither he nor me is a person who lacks money. What kind of help? There are several Mukatbara agents infiltrated inside al-Syria. Mukatbra is the Saudi Intelligence Agency, GIP, which in Korea is a counterintelligence organization like the National Intelligence Service. Are these operatives in Al-Syria? If you think about it a little, it's quite natural. Terrorist groups in the Middle East are far from us, but from Saudi Arabia's point of view, it's happening in their front yard. Of course, they must have been closely monitoring and collecting information. We will hand over information such as Al-Syria's organizational structure, armed status, security forces, and the location of hostages. I was shocked to say that. Handing over information comes with risks. Whether the rescue operation succeeds or fails, it will become known that information has been leaked from somewhere. Mistakes could expose not only Al-Syria, but also informants infiltrating other terrorist groups. It could do some damage. Are you really okay? It is natural to help a friend. Also, as a Muslim, I can't help but watch Allah shouting and killing. Please do not refuse. Having said this all the way, wouldn't it be polite to decline? Thank you, Crown Prince. I had a more specific conversation with Crown Prince Suleiman and then hung up. As soon as the call ended, Taekyu asked, "What about Prince Oil?" "I will hand over the information." When Taekyu heard my story, he was amazed. "Oh, that's great. Now let's let the Al-Syrians know that life is real life." Didn't you hear that? Special forces can't go into Syria. How about handing over information to the Syrian government and asking for help? That's one way, but their army is famous as the Tang Army. Hey, if we had fought well, I would have pushed out the rebels and ISIS. Well, in terms of combat power, the Arab army is generally the same. That's why Israel was punished like that in the Middle East war. Taekyu thought for a moment and said, "Isn't that problem going to be resolved if I call him?" "Is that so?" "Actually, I am of the same opinion. After getting help from the leader of the desert country, is it your turn to get help from the leader of the tundra country? The time difference is the same whether it is a desert country or a frozen land country. Can I call you now?" I called. I thought it would take some time, but after one-step process the phone was connected right away. The conversation was conducted in English through an interpreter. "Sorry for the sudden call." "Ha, what between us? You can contact me anytime. When will you come to Moscow?" "Come play with my wife and the deputy chief." "I will go play soon. I have something more to ask you." "Is it because of Al-Syria?" 3 days ago, South Korean special forces moved to Lebanon. You know too. A known preparation for a military operation could put the hostages at risk. Therefore, the movement of the troops was carried out in strict secret. Given that they are aware of top secrets that have not even appeared in the media, it seems that the SVR is not idle. After all, Syria is like Russia's home. Tell me what your request is. Nothing else. After the call was over, almost an hour had passed. When we went down to the conference room again, Minister of Foreign Affairs Kim Song-cheol was waiting patiently without going anywhere. "May I ask what kind of conversation you had with the Crown Prince?" I told him. "Since it is related to the kidnapping case, I think it would be better to meet the president in person and talk to him. Can we meet right now?" We all headed to the Blue House. The Blue House held the NSC every day to discuss solutions to the Syrian abduction situation. After waiting for a while, President Ha Chong-min came in with 2 men. We greeted each other. "I'm Jong Sang-cheol, the chief of the security office. This is the Minister of National Defense Lee Suk-woo. The president is the commander-in-chief of the armed forces. And the security chief and the defense minister are the real powers of the military." After saying goodbye, we sat down. President Ha Chong-min looked emaciated as he had not slept properly for several days. Originally, I was planning to go on a tour of Southeast Asia, but I have cancelled all my schedules and am sticking with it. Do the missions want to know that their diplomatic power is being wasted because of them? I told you in advance that I had spoken to Crown Prince Suleiman. Everyone seems to be curious about the details, whether they think that the Saudi Crown Prince may not have called because he was bored at such a timing. Instead of talking about it, I asked first, "How do you think the president is going to handle this? Is he really going to pay the ransom?" President Ha Chong-min nodded his head with a heavy expression. "If there is no other way, we have to pay the ransom to save the people." Actually, there is no right answer to this question. It's hard to say because you have a different opinion than me. The same thing happened to me because I paid the ransom in the last Pawn Church incident. If we do that again, Koreans all over the world will be targeted. The government is also aware of the problem. But after 3 days one of the hostages is going to die right away. Is there any good way for CO Kong Jin-hu? I said it like it was natural. I heard from the Minister of Foreign Affairs that the military was dispatched. I think we should rescue the hostages through a military operation. Zhang Sangqiu, the chief of the National Security Office, shook his head. We are also reviewing a rescue operation and we have asked the Syrian government for help, but we do not know where the hostages have been moved. Defense Minister Lee Suk-woo also said. We are also contacting local sources, but we have limited access to information. Most of all, I don't have much time. I nodded. Well, if Al-Syria had been such a good opponent, the government forces would have wiped it out. Kinner. I just told you the story I heard from Crown Prince Suleiman. It is said that Mukatbara's agents are infiltrating Al-Syria. In addition to handing over information about Al-Syria, they say they will help rescue the hostages from within when they start an operation. Everyone in the room was astonished by my words. Hey, is that really it? The importance of information in special operations such as hostage rescue cannot be explained in words. Especially if the opponent is not a regular army but a strong terrorist group before guerrillas. Read more at wuxiax.com. Defense Minister Lee Suk-woo said. However, the Syrian government does not permit our troops to enter the territory. Then Minister of Foreign Affairs Kim Song-cheol said. Even if we mobilize all diplomatic channels to get permission, it will take time. The other side had already announced that they would execute the hostages 3 days later. There is no time to relax. I just spoke with President Vysotsky on that matter. He promises to persuade the Syrian government to allow South Korean troops to enter Syrian territory. In the Syrian civil war, Russia supported government forces and the United States supported rebels. After Ronald became president, the United States withdrew, but Russia remained in support of government forces. Russia was the most actively involved in the Syrian civil war. In addition to dispatching military advisors, providing weapons, deploying troops, and in addition to the air base in Mymimim. As Russia wields a powerful force, if President Vysotsky requests it, the Syrian government will immediately allow South Korean troops to enter. Minister of National Defense Lee Suk-woo said in bewilderment that it was unexpected. Well, we need to consider whether our team can perform the operation perfectly with only our team. Also, the GRU Spetsnaz directly under the Syrian army will support the operation of the Korean army. At my words, the chief of the security office and the Minister of Defense had an astonishing expression on their faces. The GRU Spetsnaz are the most elite special forces unit of the Russian Federation. They have been conducting various military operations in Syria for over 5 years. If the elite special forces who are well aware of the local situation support them, the chances of success of the operation increase even more. After a while, Zhang Sangqiu, the chief of security, came to his senses and coughed in vain. But as you know, the ROQS military alliance comes first, so in order to cooperate with the Russian military, we need to ask for understanding from the US first. That's right. Isn't the ROQS alliance first? I will tell President Ronald about that so that there is no misunderstanding. It's an operation to rescue our own people, so I'm sure you'll understand. Do you need anything more? Oh no. They all looked puzzled, probably because the things they thought were problems were solved so easily. President Ha Chong-min smiled bitterly. This puts us in great debt to Saudi Arabia and Russia. There is no free help between countries. It doesn't cost money right away, but if you ask for help or ask for help later, it will be difficult to refuse. The damage caused by such a waste of diplomatic power is, in effect, shared among the people of the country. I never thought that all the stumbling blocks would be resolved so quickly. Thank you both for your help. Taekyu, who had been quietly listening until now, spoke up. Even if we rescue them only this time, we can't do it again next time. Shouldn't we take measures with strict punishment to prevent this from happening again? President Ha Chong-min nodded. Of course. We will hold the parties accountable for any violations of the law. Al-Syria was watching the internet and broadcasting, closely monitoring the movements of the South Korean government and Kong Jin-hu. In response to Mohammed's question, Khalid ad-Din, the negotiator, said, "How will the negotiating team react? It is said that he is still talking with Jin-ho Kong. You keep running out of time. When you see the blood, you will come to your senses. If the hostages die one by one, they will suffer from harsh criticism from the people. In the case of the Pawn Church incident, The Taliban slaughtered 2 people when negotiations did not go well, and the South Korean government paid the ransom. Tomorrow is the promised 3rd day. When the sun comes up, execute the pastor first. Okay. Even if they kill all the hostages, there is no loss for them. Of course I'll pay before that happens. Muhammad smiled, stroking his beard. An unimaginable amount of money was rolled in at once. With that money, you will be able to rearm and recruit soldiers to increase your influence. In Syria, the administrative power of the government is limited. In some areas, rebels, Kurdish militia and IS are divided. Muhammad dreamed of uniting other factions to create a giant power like ISIS. Suddenly, all the lights in the building went out. The interior was completely engulfed in darkness. What? Looks like a power outage. I turned on the flashlight and tried to understand the situation with the walkie-talkie, but there was noise and I could not hear well. At that moment, a scream suddenly rang out from outside. It's an attack. The enemy has attacked. Everyone reflexively picked up the rifles and weapons they had left nearby. What's up? Hussein's cry was heard from the walkie-talkie. Government forces. No, I think they are Korean soldiers. Nonsense. There was no mention of Korean troops entering Syria. Muhammad shouted. Take the hostages first. Kill those who rebel. In case something like this could happen, the hostages were divided into 2 places to manage. Khalid gave the instructions over the walkie-talkie. But no answer came. What? Why can't I connect? Where have these children gone? Unbeknownst to them, the soldiers guarding the hostages were killed by Mukatbara agents, and the hostages were being evacuated to safety. Meanwhile, the gunshots were getting closer and closer. A battle took place in the darkness. Kill them all. Show me the strength of the Muslim warriors. You must fight and die to get to Allah. Allah is great. The regular military and terrorist groups are incomparable in terms of armament and equipment. The other side wore body armor, wore night vision goggles, and used a semi-automatic rifle with a sight. Terrorists, on the other hand, are all weapons that they loot, plunder, and buy on the black market. In a face-to-face confrontation with the regular army, surprise and terrorism were the main methods of attack, as they could only be pushed out of firepower. But now they are being ambushed. One advantage is that this is their home base. If you fight well using the terrain, you can take advantage of the home ground. But somehow the opponent moved as if looking around the palm of his hand. The soldiers shouted in horror. It's Spetsnaz. Nonsense. The Korean and Russian forces are moving together. Secure a way out. Everyone jumped right and left in the unexpected surprise, but a missile from somewhere hit the building. It's a fighter. The fire erupted with a scream. The flames allowed Muhammad to see the Su-34 squadrons flying in. Russia even sent Air Force sortie. Contrary to the wretched Syrian government forces, Russia's Spetsnaz are notorious among terrorist groups. Because al-Syri. Oh, I've been careful not to touch Russia for nothing. Why is Russia? At that moment an idea popped into her mind. Wait, maybe Kang Jin-hu. Before he could finish his thoughts, a missile flew towards the building. Operation Umayya Cradle. In an operation to rescue the hostages held by al-Syria, South Korean special forces entered the base, and Spetsnaz supported them from behind. The Russian Air Force bombed buildings without hostages with precision strikes. After the death of their leader, Muhammad, and the battle became unfavorable, al-Syria's soldiers began to flee. Syrian government forces, which had been waiting in siege, set out to annihilate. Some managed to escape, but most gave up their weapons and surrendered. After the operation was successfully completed and the embargo was lifted, President Hu Chong-min held a press conference in person, and the media all over the world poured out breaking news. Breaking news. Operation Umayya's Cradle. South Korean, Russian, and Syrian government forces cooperate to attack al-Syria's stronghold. 2 South Korean soldiers are known to have suffered serious injuries. Rescue all hostages safely. President Chong-min-ha. Thank you to all the crew who carried out the rescue operation. The New World Church Mission team moved to Lebanon under the escort of the army. After a brief checkup and treatment there, he boarded a flight to Korea. The 2 crew members who were seriously injured were moved to Riyadh, where they underwent the first emergency operation. Crown Prince Suleiman said that he would provide treatment at the Royal Hospital, as well as a private plane for the royal family to transport them back to Korea as soon as they recover. The people cheered for the unexpected news. Oh, rescue operation. Destroy Al-Syria. Tired of joint operation with the Russian army. It was annihilated after taking a hostage. This is exactly what this is. If you stir it like this, you will never touch a Korean again. Terrorists are people too. Is it normal for us to rejoice and slaughter the poor Syrian people who have been forced to become terrorists? They too are precious children of God. We must love and forgive them. What kind of bullshit is this? Vysotsky Hyung said it. Forgive the terrorists is for God to do. My job is to send them to God. I did a lot of jihad that I like so much, so I don't think I'll have any regrets. To support Russia and support Saudi Arabia. This is a victory for Korean diplomacy. Somehow it feels like Kang Jin-ho did everything. Is it possible that you asked Jin-ho Kang for money and then you got it? The Saeseng Church missionary appeared in the arrival hall of Incheon International Airport. The moment they appeared, the camera shutters burst non-stop. Everyone bowed their heads and the three were in wheelchairs. Pastor Hyung-il Bae, who led the mission, spoke as the representative. Thanks to Pastor Jong-hoon Bang and God's grace, I was able to return to Korea safely. I sincerely thank all the people who prayed for us. But to my surprise, some people had duty-free shopping bags in their hands. I was shopping at the duty-free shop while the plane was passing by. The people who saw it were astonished. Is it a true story of duty-free shopping? The special forces were put in after hitting the tax, and 2 people were seriously injured in the rescue process. Did you shop at the duty-free shop? Tiki. This is the sky above the sky. It's a paradise. I saw a real new world today. I'm tired of their mentality. Duty-free shopping. If you write this as a novel, the author will be insulted for not being probable. I pay tribute to the soldiers who risked their lives to save those kids. I think I'll get cancer just by looking at it. It would have been better to just die in Syria. Everyone be careful. They say that Saeseng Church has requested that all posts criticizing the mission be deleted and sued. Oh. I have a lot to say but I have no money. Next day. President Ha Chong-min said at the State Council meeting. On the principle that there will be no negotiations with terrorism in the future, the government will be strict against criminal acts that harm our people until the end. With the dedication of our soldiers and the help of neighboring countries, we succeeded in rescuing all the hostages safely, but in the process 2 soldiers suffered life-threatening injuries, and the blood of the people was spent. It will be followed by heavy punishment with devastating reflection to ensure that this never happens again. As soon as the president's remarks appeared in the press, An Song-nam, chief of the Seoul District Prosecutor's Office, announced the announcement. The prosecution plans to apply for an arrest warrant for all mission members without exception as soon as the examination and treatment of the missionary members in the hospital are completed. Also, regarding the New World Church, we will thoroughly investigate whether there were any illegal acts in the operation of the church, including the dispatch of the mission, and punish them. Read more at wuxiax.com. Prosecutors immediately received a warrant and conducted a search and seizure on the New World Church and seized church assets. A lawsuit was also filed for damages against each missionary member. The government said it would review all applicable legal provisions and collect the cost of the rescue, including the cost of staying in the negotiating team, local hospital fees and plane tickets. Those who were judged to have no health problems were detained one after another. Pastor Jong-hoon Bang shouted in anger. This is religious oppression. This is a joint effort between Jin-ho Kang and this administration to kill our church. Does it make sense to charge a firefighter for turning off the lights? However, the reaction of the people was cold. Where is your conscience? You are watching the pastor shouting out his conscience. 2 people were shot and fell, but if you have a conscience, can't you say something like that? Firefighters don't claim money for turning off the lights, but don't you sue the arsonist for damages? In this case, they are on fire. If you go to a place where you shouldn't go, it's natural to pay the price. Send everyone to the prison cell without omission. A maximum of 1 year in prison. The law has nothing to do with it, but the maximum sentence must be imposed unconditionally. That way the same thing doesn't happen. You really need to collect every penny for this. Seeing how they are being caught, it seems that the cancer is getting better. This time Chongmin Hyo is doing well. Excellent. The missionaries abducted in Syria were all detained and under investigation under the Passport Act, which punishes those who visit countries with travel bans. Prosecutors and courts took the position that they would punish them harshly in principle, even to prevent a recurrence in the future. Pastor Jong-hoon Bang held a prayer meeting for the release of all missionaries. The Ha Chong-min government colluded with Kong Jin-hu and put our good members in prison. According to the Bible, King Herod rejected Jesus' Christmas and killed 20,000 children to kill Jesus. Today's King Herod is Hyo Chong-min. When the country is in trouble, it is the military that set the country right through 5.16 and 12.12. Such a proud army should never stand on the side of that injustice. The military must take the lead and arrest President Ha Chong-min as soon as possible. We are looking for people who will be martyred by receiving live bullets from the Blue House bodyguards to rescue our brothers and sisters, or who will risk their lives. A week later we will hold the inauguration ceremony of the Martyrdom University, which will enter the Blue House. Raise your hand now to those who will be fiercely fired by the bodyguards and be killed on the spot. If only the wives who are over 60 years old go out first and martyrdom, then it's all over. As I was preaching with excitement, the police and the prosecution came. The prosecutor issued a warrant. This is an arrest warrant. I will arrest you for embezzling church funds, violating the Donation Act, inciting rebellion, teaching illegal acts and violating the Gypsies Act. Pastor Jong-hoon Bang was perplexed. If it was a missionary delegation that violated the law and went to Syria directly, he would not know because he never imagined that a warrant would be issued even to him. As the police approached, he opened his eyes and shouted, "Listen to you. Without the church, you must live in the Democratic People's Republic of Korea. I love going to jail." He wants to be martyred without ever getting out of prison. The moment they arrested me, Chong-min Hyo and Jin-hu Kong were sentences to death, these children, because I do it for good. What restraint. I said crazy and sat down. I live holding the throne of God. Even God can't move when I say, stay still. However, despite all kinds of threats, the arrest could not be avoided. Pastor Jong-hoon Bang, who was arrested, was found guilty of various charges and was arrested and sentenced to 3 years in prison in the first trial. In addition, the mission members were sentenced to 6 months to 1 year in prison for violating the passport law. When the news of the collapse of Al-Syria became known, the startled Somali pirates unconditionally freed 2 Koreans who had been detained, and they returned safely to their families after 8 months. Exodus 5. After 1. Resort in Seychelles in the Indian Ocean. The beach was connected to the resort, so there was no one else but us. I sat on the beach and watched the thick sunset and told me about the past. While listening to the story, Ellie made a colorful expression. She seemed to have a lot to say, but she waited until my story was over. After a while, Ellie opened her mouth. A superpower. Does that really exist in the world? Is this kind of reaction normal? Rather, it is strange that you believed in one at a time. It's hard to believe, isn't it? After thinking for a moment, she shook her head. No. I believe. Really? Regardless of whether it's superpowers or intuition, at least Jin-hu thinks so. In fact, Brexit, big one, and the current financial crisis. I wondered why he was so confident. But this is why there was. Ellie was still in shock. What she thought she had figured out with her keen analysis and insight, she would be surprised to find out that it was her foresight. Can you see the future? You can't see everything. You can't even see what you want. As an analogy, would it be like peeking through a window slit? But where is it? It is. The money I earn tells me just how ridiculous this ability is. Every day, securities firms set target prices for specific stocks and publish reports on promising sectors and markets. But how many of them are right? A lot of experts and geniuses analyze all kinds of data and they are all wrong, but I got everything right and made a lot of money. Aren't you disappointed? Are you disappointed? About making an investment that relied on foreknowledge. It's also Jin-hu's ability. Even if it's statistics or analysis, there are probably many people who rely on their intuition to invest. How do you earn money by investing? This is no different from the physiology of the financial market. The Rothschild family had such a secret. It's more surprising than most conspiracy theories. Why did Jin-hu turn down the Rothschilds' offer? He really could have been the king of the Commonwealth. There are several reasons, but the biggest one is another. What? Because I love Ellie. At my words, she blushed and smiled. But she soon rolled her eyes and licked her lips. But you've been cheating on me for so long. I smiled mischievously. Sorry. Shit. But even now I will forgive you for telling me. Ellie rested her head on my shoulder. We talked for a long time under the moon and starry night sky. 3 days later we moved to Europe. The moment I learned that geratinium could make a new battery and that I could mine geratinium from the moon, the world changed. The media and experts paid attention to how the industry would change due to JN battery, and each country hurried to develop space and secure geratinium. This is because geratinium was believed to be able to replace gold and crude oil, which are real assets in the future. OTK company has the core technology to make this JN battery. Other countries and companies are also rushing to develop technology, but for the time being OTK company's dominance will continue. Wealthy investors are welcome wherever they go. Leaders of each country clashed and asked for investment and cooperation, and at the same time expressed their intention to invest in Simangium and North Korea projects. As if the government were chasing after me, they held investment invitations in every country I went to. It's not like a honeymoon trip, it's like going on an overseas tour. In Italy he met the Pope, and in England he was scheduled to meet with the Queen. European luxury companies were also invited. We're garnering worldwide attention as the couple of the century, and Ellie has a slender body with a beautiful face that makes her a model. Fashion magazines published articles analyzing what kind of clothes Ellie wears, what shoes she wears, what bags she carries, and what cosmetics she uses, while luxury companies offered to sponsor clothes, bags, shoes, watches, etc. The British press highlighted the fact that Ellie was a British, day after day. During this financial crisis, the UK's financial centre, City of London, was half destroyed. There are two main reasons. One is that British investment banks followed Rothschild to invest in the global economic meltdown, and the other is that Rothschild took the losses at the last minute. The British government provided emergency liquidity by purchasing RP to prevent financial companies from collapsing. Nevertheless, the bankruptcy of Rothschild-related banks was inevitable. Brexit has also been put on hold. It is better to remain attached to the EU to jump into space exploration and securing geratinium. However, it can't be done now, so the UK did not leave the EU or did not leave, but watched the situation while maintaining an ambiguous stance. We visited Buckingham Palace, welcomed by the Queen of England, and toured the London School of Economics and Economics, where Ellie studied. Afterwards, Eli's maternal grandfather from Cornwall and her maternal grandmother again met and greeted each other. The two of them lived in a small village, and thanks to the fact that her granddaughter's son-in-law was Kong Jin-hu and boasting about her neighborhood, all the villagers came out. After finishing our itinerary and sightseeing in Europe, we crossed the Atlantic Ocean in a private plane and arrived in Washington, D.C. There I met President Ronald after a long time. He greeted us with the First Lady. Congratulations on your marriage. Thank you. The expected financial crisis did not come, and the U.S. economy returned to normal. The aftermath in the financial market was still there due to the bankruptcy of hedge funds including Albert Management and bailout applications from J.P. Morgan. But rather than that, everyone is showing expectations for a new market to be opened in the future. In both capital and technology, the United States is second to none. Americans were full of confidence that they would win the future space development and industrial competition. As the economy entered a recovery phase, the presidential election road was solid. The Republican primary was nothing short of a hoax. The same will be true for elections. After the tour in Washington, D.C., we moved to Detroit. We met with the management of Keras and the management of OTK Games to discuss the future business direction. However, as it was a honeymoon to the last, I also went to the Great Lakes, Las Vegas, Grand Canyon, Yosemite National Park, and Los Angeles Disneyland. I was exhausted, but Ellie dragged me around with the intention of getting one more ride, and she eventually came out to watch the fireworks. Professor Mohan and Carrie drove their own car and gave us a city tour of LA. Perhaps because Hollywood is nearby, LA was like a huge movie set. Ellie was delighted to see the places and buildings in the background of the movie. At the request of her students, she even lectured at Caltech once. Everyone expressed great anticipation for the changes to come. Wherever we went, people's eyes were focused, but we enjoyed the trip to our heart's content without worrying about it. After taking a shower at the hotel, Ellie put on her robe and lay down on my arm. The scent of shampoo was felt in her slightly damp hair. Tomorrow I will finally go back to Korea. Did you enjoy the trip? Yes. No one had such a fun honeymoon trip as we did. Since she started working in earnest, she has never been out for this long. She entrusted her work to Taekyu and Sangyip seniors, and she enjoyed the trip without thinking. Fortunately, the company did well without me. I want to see you all soon. You had a video call a few days ago. Still, you can't just see it in person. That's right. I think I also want to see Taekyu. I miss the house too. We are building a house for us in Simangium. In the next year or so I will have to move my company and move my house, but until then I plan to continue living in my house now. I came to work, and what if my desk was cleaned? This must be the concern of all working people. Then come to my office. I'll put a desk next to me. At my words, Ellie said jokingly, Is this a scout offer? That salary is expensive. I want to bring her with me out of greed, but Hyunju Nuna doesn't seem to let me go. Ellie likes to see her working with her older sister. When she goes to Korea, her daily life will start again. Will you be busy for a while? Ellie looked at me and asked. Will Jinho continue to invest in the future? It would be. Investors' main job is to invest. When you have the opportunity to make money, it will be hard to stay still. I am still the richest man in the world, and I will make more money in the future. What are you going to do with all that money? I do not know. I remember the Rothschilds. The Rothschilds have used that ability to maintain the wealth and influence of the family. Can I do that too? Wealth is the basis for obtaining more wealth. The current financial market makes it possible. The wealth I have will be passed down through my bloodline and descended from generation to generation, possibly becoming a more famous family than the Rothschilds. Ellie smiled. But Jinhoo won't do that. I nodded. Yes. The reason I made so much money was that one day I could see the future. I still wonder why I had this ability, but I don't think it's an ability that I was born with to eat well and live well on my own. Of course. Could something be helpful to the world? Ellie nodded her head. Jinhoo has already helped the world enough. Big one, and this financial crisis probably saved the most people in the 21st century. You won the Nobel Peace Prize. Like that, we might be able to help more in the future. One of the common sayings when pointing out the problems of capitalism is that the rich got richer and the poor got poorer. But this is wrong. It is true that the rich got richer, but the poor did not get poorer. Over the past few decades, extreme poverty has decreased, wars and civil wars have declined, GDP in developing countries has risen, more people have access to basic health care, and life expectancy has risen significantly. What used to be enjoyed by nobles and chaebols in the past has now become something that many people can enjoy. All of this is because the world's wealth has increased and technology has advanced. I have the most wealth in the world. Even if you work hard for luxury, you won't be able to spend all that money. Even if you live in a large and nice house, there is a limited amount of space that you can use at one time. Even if you have a lot of good cars, you can only ride one car at a time. I want to try to make the world a better place than it is now. In the past, it was enough for me to decide on my own, but not anymore. I looked at Ellie and asked, I think it's going to be difficult on my own. Can you help me? She happily nodded her head. I see. Exodus 5. After that too. The beauty in her suit is busy at her company, looking at her smartwatch on her wrist, checking her schedule and her appointments. As the sun went down, she put on her sweatshirt and ran through the city with her streetlights on. After a while, she stopped running and wiped her sweat and checked her workout data on her smartwatch. Then the logo of Susong Electronics appeared and the advertisement ended. Ellie Kim did another commercial. Isn't Golden Gate Lawyer a scam with that look? Since it's an advertisement for Susong Electronics, the model fee is no joke. After marrying Jin Hu Kong, I paid the ransom for Ellie Kim. She said French and Italian luxury brands are lining up to shoot advertisements. The pre-advertised Bester is a hit. She said her stock price had doubled before shooting the commercial. Im Jin Young is close to Kong Jin Hu, so I guess he used her as her model. I hope I can meet her husband well and shoot commercials. Isn't it the other way around? She turned down all the fuss about filming an advertisement here and there, but she was a Susong Electronics, so she took one. Oh, that's the answer. Her modeling fee should be expensive, but compared to her wealth after the earthquake, it's a new blood. I heard from a friend who attends Susong Electronics, so Im Jin Young asked for it himself. I don't know about anything else, but she's so pretty. I like Kong Jin Hook. I have a lot of money and my wife is pretty. I'm so envious of the dog TD. I have to go see the fish and chips ad one more time. P-chip P-chip. Samsung Electronics smartwatch advertisement was released. This advertisement goes not only in Korea, but also all over the world where smartwatches are released. The ad response is good. As Taekyu said, it was generally well received. It looks pretty to me. Not only was she beautiful in appearance, but she was also full of intelligence and health. After her marriage, Ellie was flooded with advertising offers. Her modeling fees soared to the level of top Hollywood actors. Nevertheless, she was anxious because everyone could not be cast. In particular, luxury brands were active. I refused all of them, but the reason I filmed the advertisement for Samsung Electronics was that Chairman Im Jin-young visited 3 times and asked for it directly. After watching the advertisement, a royal fish and chips advertisement appeared as a related video along with a best advertisement. Bester, who filmed an advertisement the other day, saw another surge in orders. And the number of views of the royal fish and chips advertisement video skyrocketed again, now approaching 100 million views. Aren't we supposed to start a royal fish and chips franchise at this point? It's a good idea. For reference, trademarks cannot be registered as both royal and fish and chips are proper nouns. For this reason, there are not 1 or 2 stores that are already operating under the name Royal Fish and Chips. However, the trade name can be copied, but the mascot cannot be copied. If we shoot the second commercial for Royal Fish and Chips with Ellie as our model, wouldn't it be a job to recruit 100 franchisees? Of course, I would never do it myself. The global financial crisis has subsided, but the real work has only just begun. Rapid changes have already begun in all fields, including economy, politics, society, and culture. Among experts, opinions were divided on whether to view this as an extension of the Fourth Industrial Revolution or the starting point of a new industrial revolution. JN batteries are expected to accelerate the transition to electric vehicles and industrial changes, and oil prices have plummeted to the low 30s. Right now, we have the core technologies in batteries and electric vehicles, but if we keep our hands, others will catch up in the next few years. We need to widen the gap with latecomers by increasing our market share and upgrading our technology. Other than that, for more development support, Simangium development and North Korea projects are not the only things that need to be done. Fortunately, we had the funds to do all of that. OTK company earned about $1 trillion through this crisis. Although I am collecting funds little by little to pay off the bonds I have issued with a maturity of 1 year, most of them are in stocks, bonds, and foreign exchange markets in emerging countries, so the exact return will only be known after liquidation is complete. In any case, the current valuation is over $1 trillion. What a huge amount of money this is. It is more than twice the foreign exchange reserves of Korea. The amount of assets under management has far exceeded that of the world's largest hedge fund, and it will not be inferior to any sovereign wealth fund. Such a great asset is in our hands. Money makes the impossible possible. We discussed future initiatives. Along with the development of Simangium, the South Korean government is pushing for a project to connect the Inter-Korean Railroad and resume the Kaesong Industrial Complex. The North Korea project is also linked to the Siberian Development Project that Russia is pursuing. President Ha Chong-min and President Vysotsky agreed to create a single economic bloc linking ASEAN, South Korea, North Korea, Russia, Central Asia, and Eastern Europe. The United States, China, and Japan form an economic bloc in their own right. But Korea is not like that. As domestic demand is small and dependence on exports is high, we need to grow together with neighboring countries. Although it may be heartbreaking, China and the United States ostensibly supported it, and the sovereign wealth funds of Norway and Saudi Arabia also expressed their willingness to participate in the investment. As both countries are highly dependent on oil, the idea was to find a new growth engine. The world is paying attention to the business, but Japan is not here. What is the reaction from the Japanese side? Sanjiop Sr. smiled at my question. They keep contacting us. You're probably burning your stomach right now. When South Korea and Russia did not reach out, Japan made indirect contact with ASEAN countries. But those countries were also negative. In this financial crisis, Japanese funds flowed out at once like a low tide, and ASEAN countries suffered great losses. I usually borrowed an umbrella, but when it rained it was taken away. If we hadn't poured money into the market, Vietnam, the Philippines, and Indonesia would have declared a moratorium or default due to the financial crisis. Fortunately, the world economy rebounded sharply after that. The deeper the valley, the higher the mountain. Stock markets around the world, which can be considered a leading economic indicator, have recovered almost all of their losses. However, Japan was unable to recover the loss due to withdrawing money before that, and rather was in a position to be blamed. When this happened, Japan was perplexed. When the crisis worsened, they secured cash, expecting that emerging countries would open their hands to them, but the crisis was over and those countries turned to Korea and OTK company instead of Japan. The Japanese industry, fearing that Japan might be overtaken by Korea and China in the future, urged the political authorities to take measures, but the party has not yet come to a decision as disputes arose within the LDP. Unlike before, Japan reached out with a friendly gesture to Korea. The benefits that can be obtained by participating in the economic bloc are limitless. However, in order to do that, the claims agreement with North Korea must first be resolved. The amount I offered for arbitration was $70 billion. In addition, he added the clue of reparation here. Japan responded by saying it was absurd. If this agreement is reached, it is almost like humiliating diplomacy for Japan, and the regime could be blown away if done wrong. Because it will never be easy to accept. Taijaiyu said. In other words, I am not hungry yet. That's right. Japan has used technology and capital as a weapon to exert influence in Asia. But now things are a little different. Without that $70 billion, there is no problem in proceeding with the development. If you don't make it through, you lose. As a result, it is unknown whether Prime Minister Okazaki resigns or the government changes. I'm telling you, I won't have any conversations without the prerequisites of paying $70 billion in damages. Now is not the time to be concerned about Japan. If it's sad, they'll bow down and come in. We have a lot more to do than that. After going on a honeymoon, it is polite to express gratitude to those who came to the wedding. It's been a while, but after thinking about how to say thank you, I decided to hold a garden party at my house. We put out a table in the garden on a sunny day and had a party. How I knew it, requests from the political and financial circles flooded in, but I ignored them all and invited only acquaintances who came to the wedding. Seniors Sanjiop and other people from the company came, and Yuri also brought his father and Chairman Ryu Choljang. Chairman Im Jin-yong and President Lim Sumi brought their children. Hana Young, Ha-young Min and Princess Annika also came. Taekyu welcomed them warmly. I looked at it and muttered, "Who will Taekyu marry?" Then Eli said, "I think you know who I am." I was surprised. Really? Who are you?" Well. Hyunju's older sister came with Henry and Gunai. "Welcome. A lot of people have already come." Taekyu looked at her older sister up and down and licked her eyes. "What is it? You seem to have gained some weight. Aren't you working out these days?" "Shut up." Her mother looked at Jianai and smiled broadly at her. "Gun is here too. He has grown a lot. Gunai is now walking alone and speaking well. She is so cute that she has won the love of those around her. Do you and Ellie want to feel like that when they have children?" The mother wanted to see her grandson as soon as possible, but she didn't know what to say because she was afraid that it would burden her. Then Eli spoke to her mother first. She said, "Mother, please tell me something after Jean. I want to have a child right now, but Jinhoo keeps having it slowly." "Oh so." Looking at her mother's expression, "I think she'll be nagging me when it's over." Almost everyone who came. I poured wine to the people around me. But Hyunju Nuna waved her hand. "I'm fine. Aren't you going to eat?" "I won't drink for a while." "Why?" Unlike me, who did not understand, Ellie immediately noticed. Jessica, are you pregnant?" Hyunju's older sister nodded her head. "Huh." Taeyong shouted in surprise. "What? Is your sister pregnant again? What are you so excited about? Is it so surprising that I am pregnant?" "In fact, it is not surprising. You said earlier that Taekyu looks fat, but he seems to have seen it right." Everyone's attention was focused on Taekyu's cry. "Really? Oh. It went so well. Congratulations on your pregnancy." People applauded and congratulated everyone. Hyunju Nuna said while touching her stomach, "I want my second daughter to be my daughter." Taekyu said with his arms crossed. If it were a daughter who looked like her older sister, she would have a hard time raising her. "Shut up. Isn't my older sister going to have a third child like this?" I thought as I looked at Taekyu being punched in the back. He thought she was right. Still, seeing that Nuna doesn't deny it, does she really have a third desire? Read more at wuxiax.com. Hyunja's older sister and Henry's faces were tinged with happiness. They are a well-matched couple. Serving customers one by one is usually not difficult. I went into the room with Ellie to rest for a while. Tell me about Big One. You've done it before. Do it one more time. I want to hear it again. Ellie asked her questions one by one about what I had done in her spare time, and she told me what kind of foresight I saw each time and how I interpreted it and moved. Ellie listened to me with a look of excitement, and she exclaimed with her exclamation, sometimes sadly and sometimes excitedly. Fun. Of course. This is the first time I've heard such a funny story. Do you want to write a book? I laughed bitterly. Will people believe it? What if I don't believe it? You can just call it a novel. Of course, I have no intention of telling anyone other than Take-You and Eli. When I first joined hands with Take-You and invested, I never imagined that I would come this far. Sometimes even I can't believe it. Sometimes everything feels like a dream. I worry that when I open my eyes one day, everything will be gone. Ellie, she says, sometimes felt like I was going somewhere far away. Perhaps it was because I myself had such insecurities. At my words, Ellie grabbed my cheeks with both her hands. What's wrong? Instead of answering, she kissed. I could feel the soft touch and warm breath. After a while, she slowly parted her lips and asked, Is this still like a dream? I shook my head. No. It seems a bit real now. I looked out the window into the garden. Everyone was looking happy. Take-You talked with young Hannah, Min Ha-young and Princess Annika, while Hyunju's sister and Henry played with the child. Ellie smiled, noticing what I was thinking. Jin-Hoo will definitely be a good father. Really? Of course. Jin-Hoo is a good person. Next to me was a woman who was more beautiful, wise and attractive than anyone else in the world. As she looked at her, her anxiety disappeared in her mind, and her strong conviction was lifted. This moment is the future I have in my hands.